Let me tell you a story. Once upon a time, there was a fella who wanted to be a baker. He was very passionate about baking breads, muffins, pastries, that sort of thing. And he had always inspired himself to be an entrepreneur where he wanted to start a bakery of his own. But in his career, initially, he wanted to start with an apprenticeship at one of the local bakeries as well as some of the famous ones in his city. So he started going to these bakeries and asking for an apprenticeship. And they would usually ask him, they would give him a bread and ask him to toast it. And for some reason, he was failing at it. So he thought, okay, let me see how everyone else is doing it. So he went to this school called League Toast. And at this school, he enrolled for like months, and every day they would give him a new bread, like baguettes, bagels, cinnamon buns, stuff like that, thin loaf, thick loaf, that sort of thing. And he kept toasting breads day by day. And then he went to these interviews again. But he was still failing at it because sometimes these bakeries have their custom breads that they want to bake, they want to toast and sell. So, he thought, okay, let me try this website called Bakers for Bakers, where, bakers would paste their recipes about how to toast different kind of breads. And that was also not working. Does that sound all familiar to you? Well, welcome to the State of Software Engineering interviews in 2020. I'm Lalit Kundu. I'm a senior software engineer at Google. I've interviewed hundreds of candidates over my career, on-sites and phone interviews and whatnot. In my college days, I was a prolific competitive programmer where I qualified for ACMA ICPC World Finals, also known as the Olympics of Sport Programming. I have conducted many training camps about the fundamentals of algorithms and data structures to prepare teams from India for programming contests like ACMA ICPC and IOI as well. So that's about me. Why am I here? I'm trying to solve two very fundamental problems. The first one being, I want to talk about the fundamentals of toasting breads. Nobody ever told the guy that toasting a bread is a very basic chemical reaction that happens at high temperatures where amino acids react with sugars, reducing sugars, to create a distinctive taste that customers are looking for. And this is the kind of stuff I want to talk about. The second problem that I want to solve is I want to give you insights into how an interviewer, a Google interviewer, looks at the candidates. What are they exactly looking for? What are the common pitfalls of being in a software engineering interview? So how am I solving this? How am I solving these problems? So I started with a coding interview weekly series where I would start with a problem, not like any other problem you'd find on LeetCode. We are going to take a mixture of top-down and bottom-up approaches to build the fundamentals around that problem. I'm not going to tell you how to bake 10 different kinds of breads, but I'm going to tell you what exactly does it mean to bake a bread. So I'll start a question, I'll post a question on LinkedIn at the starting of the week. We can discuss it in comments. And then at the end of the week, I'll talk about the insights from a software engineering interview perspective, as well as the basics of what you need to solve that problem. And the objective being, once you have solved that kind of problem, like let's say it's a dynamic programming problem, you don't have to solve 20 different kinds of DP problems. I'm going to tell you an algorithm to solve DP problems, and that you can apply to any sort of DP problem. So let's get probing with Lalit Kundu.